Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another match in the Cat Yum Cup. We're here today for Sunday's block of matches in round of 64. Today, we're going to have Combo Gaming and Nemesis seated 25 and 40 respectively. And I am Nameless Fanatic, and I'm happy to be joined by Epic Man 2. How are you doing?
Yeah, I've been doing my usual. Can't wait to see this match as per usual. This is going to be one of the final few matches that we've got of this very weekend of the Cat Yum Cup. Clocking in at 21 UTC. We got basically just only 2 matches left on Sunday. Going to be having 2 of them at 22 UTC and then 2 matches on Monday. Then that's basically going to be it for this weekend in particular. So once again, not jumping the gun anymore. Combo Gaming Nemesis. Fairly strong players in their own right, especially on the opposite fields of what we're going to be seeing here. I'm still quite surprised that Nemesis is actually seeing this low, because I remember for a fact that I recognize that they were one of the stronger forces when it came to that of the Canadian forces in the Canadian tournament scene overall.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm pretty shocked myself to see Nemesis in the lower seated placement, but nonetheless, I think this can be a lot closer than what the seeds represent. So I'm honestly pretty excited for this match.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, especially with the early game, we've already been seeing quite a bunch of matches going off to quite a bit of an explosive start, as we will be going with the rolls as well. 26 to a, I'm not even pronounce that number. Rev, I was about to say no.
So Nemesis rolls to 67, which is going to be the higher roll. So we do see that Nemesis is going to be given the option to ban and protect first, and Nemesis goes for a ban.
Yeah, fairly expected, to be honest. I mean, Nemesis, I'm assuming, would probably want to try and ban first, because that way they can see what options are left for them first thing upon going into this map pool overall, in which it's pretty much a lot of options you can realistically go for, especially with combo gaming being fairly well rounded in the early game. I would definitely think that Nemesis would at least try to take the hit that maybe they should try and ban out some of the picks that can be at least a little more within their comfort range. I mean, I definitely would expect Nemesis to maybe ban out one of the Rice picks, as we do have combo gaming protecting that of Entangle Knight Rice 2, trying to keep in that jump stream as we have here. Maybe I would suspect a ban for something like Magical Higonzor or Promise, if anything, but they will also be protecting Rice 3 on that matter, the core jack pick.
Yeah, we do see that Nemesis also goes for the for the ban on EX1, which is a pretty interesting pick. So Nemesis does want to, go for the accuracy side of things, get rid of the more physical pick. So I feel like Nemesis is going to rely on accuracy and ratio for this matchup.
Yeah, and I would say personally that they're pretty much in the right to do so, because especially in the early game, the main aim of the game at that point is pretty much to at least do your best when it comes to these picks, because the issue is that all these maps are pretty much far within the comfort range of both these players in particular. So it's no wonder that everyone's going to be doing great on these, but only Shooting Stars really get to break the mold, as we will be having Hyper 2 getting, actually no, Hyper 2 was banned. Okay, I'm stupid, sorry. L1's going to be the pick minimum.
So starting off with the coordination pick, I mean, this one is pretty well known for its walkie releases, so I'm pretty curious to see how Nemesis will handle this.
Yeah, indeed. So I think definitely this is a bit of a interesting pick, but this also kind of confuses me at the same time, because I'm looking at some of the statistics from the qualifiers, and okay, Nemesis is seed 30 when it comes to the coordination. So I guess to a degree, they're going to be very equalized with combo gaming on that pick, which is why I definitely feel like this might be a little riskier. Even more so because this is even easier than what we had of Phantom Dancer from the qualifiers, especially with this one trying to tax more of your nerve control rather than, you know, incorporating some physical patterns in here while it can't afford it pretty much.
Oh yeah, for sure. And we do see that Combo Gaming is going to have the first somewhat significant drop in accuracy. Nemesis holding on to the high 99, holding you know, about a 500 score lead, but you know, we're just barely getting into this match, so anything can happen from here.
Yeah, only really tugging at the skin of the meat so far. 1,000 points in the favor of Nemesis for the time being, and we haven't really gone through majority of the map yet, as this is only just the first quarter of what we're yet to be dished. The minimum like thing you really need for the difficulty to play this map well is practically to at least keep your accuracy as high as possible on a map like this, because especially for the fact that we have both these players in the lobby at the same time, it's no wonder that accuracy is going to be pretty much the main factor that separates these two right now. And we can definitely see it with Nemesis having quite the advantage over Combo Gaming right now, seeming not to be as gaming when it comes to the accuracy, as Nemesis is pretty much proving that they have what it takes to at least try and take on some of the Titans from this tournament alone.
Oh yeah, for sure. We do see it that Nemesis is going to be holding a 6,000 score lead just from accuracy alone. You know, both players still holding on to that strong full combo. However, it's important to mention that Combo's gaming accuracy not bad at all. Just, you know, Nemesis is just going to be holding a much stronger one, and the score, you know, difference just really demonstrates that.
Absolutely. Like, I think going off the qualifiers alone, I pretty much begin to understand Nemesis's decision on being able to throw this pick out a lot better than I initially anticipated, just because of how it initially seems on paper that both these players are very balanced when it comes to that skill set, in which, yes, they are. I mean, Combo Gaming only got 36 when it came to the coordination pick, albeit the main reason it was a lot easier for a plethora of players we had in that phase was because of how jack-oriented it was at that time, in which, yes, this is also still kind of jack-oriented, but it's a lot less physical and fast as a matter of fact. So only at 200 BPM, it's just the raw nerve control that Nemesis is going to be reign superior over, going to be winning off that ratio difference alone, and just the minimalization of all the misjudges as well.
Yeah, a 7-200 count is not bad at all considering the wonky releases this map has. So that is going to give Nemesis the first point.
Indeed, and a fairly strong one as well, as this is just the first point. Combo Gaming in to pick right next door. There's pretty much a lot of options that Combo Gaming I could really go for, but I would assume they probably would feel at home with the Rise category, especially seeing both the Protects and pretty much the entire category for that matter is open for grabs.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm willing to bet that Combo Gaming is probably gonna go for something more techy. I'm willing to bet Rice 4 or 5. It would make sense to you know, to go for a more, you know, unconventional Rice pick.
Yeah, I feel that's pretty much what Combo Gaming would at least be led to believe they strive in, because thrive in, because especially if we look at the qualifiers, there's pretty much fairly similar scores that have been made between these two when it came to even the easier Rice picks, for example. I mean, Combo Gaming does win when it comes to the ratio, as opposed to Nemesis when it came to maps like, oh, but that one is like pretty much the easiest thing in the world. So we have something like Promise as well, which is also fairly easy, just a little bit under what is the typical difficulty of MWC as far as I remember. So at this point, it's pretty much a shot in the dark, because there isn't really enough information that I can personally garner about this pick in terms of how efficient it can be for Combo Gaming to try and capitalize off of, especially against Nemesis, who still is right on their tracks when it comes to early game Rice in particular.
Oh yeah, for sure. I feel like Combo Gaming will really have to make sure they get the, you know, the best amount of, you know, just the best ratio in general. I feel like ratio really matters against an opponent such as Nemesis. So Combo Gaming, I don't think he could drop their guard at all.
Yeah, if anything, they would pretty much have to promise that they cannot drop their guard at all on a pick like this, because this is a fairly dump-oriented map, as we can pretty much just get the immediate gist of first things first. So far, scores flickering between two, and this isn't really a long map by any means either. Only 2 minutes and 15 seconds as well. There's a lot of room for some chokes to happen, especially with, you know, the way that Satori made and kind of at least interprets a lot of these patterns, how the way that the dump flow intuition kind of works, and mixed in with some of these tighter mage jacks at about 124 BPM. So yeah.
Oh god, you know, we're getting into halfway in this map and the accuracy is nearly identical. This is really going to come down to, you know, the perfect count. That is, oh god, yeah, these players are on edge, and you know, we see Combo Gaming getting the first 200. You know, Nemesis is actually going to be still holding that, you know, V1 SS. So even though Combo Gaming's actually dropped by 0.03%, that is still going to actually leave a big dent in the. Oh wait, never mind. We see Nemesis getting, I think it was a 50 there.
Okay, that's going to be a lot more treacherous than that one grade that Combo Gaming just somehow accidentally bled out, because when it comes to maps that are just as easy as this, which are very far in the comfort range of both players, it pretty much just boils down to how well you can even act these patterns, because this is literally volatile snap dump intuition that we're talking about here, where even the slightest judges can literally feel like a miss on a map this easy when you're just able to ratio it. And Combo Gaming has dropped their score a little bit, keeping up by about 1,000 points. The song is literally fading out, but now it's literally only 1,500 points that separates the two right now. If Nemesis can get it, then they could have they could have done it well, but unfortunately it was the 250s that literally just damaged their score altogether.
Oh wow, yeah, I feel like that was a pretty big blunder there from Nemesis. Like, if Nemesis didn't get those 250s, Nemesis would have most definitely won just from ratio, as you know, both players got, you know, 1/200s, but unfortunately that's going to give, you know, Combo Gaming a point, and that's going to tie up this it's going to tie it up 1-1.
Yeah, Nemesis is literally Nemesis getting the side of their cheek literally scraped across the road with some of these dump patterns really just costed this point altogether, and that's kind of a bit of a stretch to say as well, just because of how simple the map is respectively, and the fact that literally the score was almost the same by only about 30 perfects that really separate these two, had it not been for those 250s on the side of Nemesis, as Nemesis will be resorting to the LN category, and they're going to be choosing out Melt CPK remix, and definitely feel this is probably the best choice to go for afterward.
Oh yeah, for sure. Nemesis is definitely much stronger in LN, as we've seen from the first match, you know, compared to Combo Gaming. And, you know, Nemesis can actually match Combo Gaming even in, you know, the Rise picks. I just feel like, you know, the LN or hybrid picks are definitely in Nemesis' favor.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I would assume Nemesis would probably want to bash Combo Gaming with, because it's pretty much been established from the get-go that both these players have gotten points respectively on maps that are within, you know, I would assume the Rise category for Combo Gaming, albeit it was so close, and the LN for Nemesis, as we pretty much get intel that Combo Gaming pretty much struggles a lot with this one as well.
Yeah, we did see that, you know, Nemesis had a 1% accuracy advantage for a brief moment. And, you know, when the accuracy margins should be, you know, much closer, seeing a difference like that is really not good. So we do see that Nemesis is going to be holding, you know, about an 8,000 score lead this early into the map. So I think that's going to really demonstrate just the gap in accuracy we have between these two players.
Yeah, this is an early miss, but at the same time, even if it does come down to a reverse choke FC from Combo Gaming, I think it really is just going to have to boil down to Nemesis at least proving that they're human on a map like this as well. I mean, we see a lot of yellow 300s, but those are pretty much negligible when it comes to this map alone, because we see Combo Gaming is also just as consistent on these as well, albeit the UR kind of spells a bit of a different story, as we see some grades coming out from Combo Gaming as well. Bleeding out, Nemesis gonna be eking out whatever they can of this map alone, as that's exactly what they need for the time being. Back half of the map, and now we are into a break.
Yeah, even like in this break alone, I feel like Combo Gaming still has to look out, because I feel like, you know, these releases are not doing Combo Gaming any favors, whereas Nemesis can still, you know, act them pretty consistently, and the lead is just bleeding further into Nemesis. No, it just shrunk as Nemesis just found a draw and lost their full combo. Now they still have a decent cushion to work with just from sheer accuracy. However, as you know, Combo Gaming is just going to, you know, hold their combo, the bleed is shrinking, but with only less than a quarter of a map to work with, I think that Nemesis may still be able to hold that, you know, that point lead, as long as they just don't miss again.
I mean, that's pretty much the one objective that Nemesis has left now, because this map is practically relentless with how it addresses a lot of these fairly coordination-oriented density patterns. Like, there's a lot of broken jumpstream that you have here, some pseudo inverse patterns as well, but Nemesis is still going to be doing what they can, working well within the magic to ensure that they get this point no matter what. Even if it does come down to a miss, it pretty much is going to seal the deal on this pick alone. This could have been a lot more disastrous had Nemesis taken yet another gnarly drop, and it was a slider break at that. So one miss and a slider break from Combo Gaming. It's pretty much what spelt it.
Yeah, we do see that Nemesis just had, you know, a significantly lower 200 count and, you know, better ratio. You know, a 99.5 up against a 99.67. I actually would expect a larger score gap, but you know, but that miss from, you know, the slider break from Nemesis is it hurt their combo quite a bit, but luckily they were able to just get passed by.
Yeah, indeed. It seems like, from what it looks like, pretty much both players did get damaged quite a bit when it came to those misses alone. Albeit, Combo Gaming pretty much had the worst end of the stick just because of how dirty the misses were at the very beginning. Nemesis, yes, choked in the middle, just out of, like, you know, the roll nerve control that's required to even play something like LN2, but at the same time, at least they still kept it clean whenever it was due, as Rice 1 will be the next pick from Combo Gaming. Definitely would say this is probably the best avenue to go for, as this is probably going to result in yet another one of those Rice versus LN battles. But at the same time, Combo Gaming's going to have... There is pretty much a chance that Nemesis can at least break this chain of repeated victories per whoever is actually picking, because we have seen from the likes of Rice 4 that it was really, really close and really boiled down to some of the worst misjudges as well.
Yep, just like the other Rice pick from earlier, I feel like this is going to ultimately come down to ratio. So that's something that both players should prioritize the most. And we do see that Combo Gaming is going to have a little bit of a rougher start, with Nemesis holding, you know, nearly 100%.
Yeah, I mean, it was a fairly simple start that as well, so not really much information you can garner from here, but even now, the accuracy difference is probably going to be segregated a little more just going into this next drop, where you have the pre-course in, where you still have some fluctuating snaps. I mean, if you are a little acquainted with Yui's style of these kinds of charts, then you would pretty much know there is a lot of variation between how the dumps are expressed, and a drop from Nemesis is really going to at least prove a testament to that alone, as it's now going to be right in the middle with the smallest of bias to their favor. It's literally the minute they let even a great slip out that they can really just fumble that score. And that's something
and
they don't
speaking
want.
of that great, actually no, we see Combo Gaming drop the full combo. And in a pick like this, a miss is like practically, you know, a death sentence to your like score, because the only way to realistically come back from that is, you know, if Nemesis decides to also, you know, just somehow miss. But considering how, you know, considering the difficulty of this map, it's very unlikely.
I mean, yeah, it's fairly consistent across 3 minutes, so That was a very devastating miss from Combo Gaming, however, not being able to live up to the name as they really should have been on a map like this, because with the fact that you're facing off against someone who can literally strangle you when it comes to a lot of these patterns in terms of what? Having equalized ratio, it's... Okay, they missed. All right. Things are a little equal now.
Okay, but you know what? I'm actually quite surprised to see that the score didn't, the score lead didn't immediately shift into Combo Gaming side as soon as Nemesis missed. But, it is actually slowly shrinking towards Combo Gaming side, but now it's actually growing back into Nemesis side. So, as it stands right now, both players have one miss, but Nemesis is going to be holding that accuracy advantage, and it appears that it's going to be giving a Nemesis. Oh, sorry, never mind. It's actually really close now. Oh, never mind. And Combo Gaming missed again.
I was literally about to say.
Oh my god, no, wait,
Nemesis missed again. Wait.
Okay, what?
Okay, things are looking a little dicey right there. That's another miss. Wait, no.
No way.
No, it's over unless Combo Gaming misses. They cannot miss anymore.
Oh my god.
Please, there's no way.
So we see both players trading misses back and forth, and that's going to give Combo Gaming this win. That was so unexpected. Oh my god. Because, with what I've been seeing so far, I've seen both of these players be so consistent, and just to see more than one miss, let alone 3 from either of these players, are just really surprising to me. But nonetheless, the ratios were actually really close. I think this might have been the type of pick to have like a 2-digit score difference, maybe like low 3-digit, if they both FC'd, because, the ratio is very close, but Combo Gaming had one less 200. So this would have been very nerve-wracking if, both players held their combos. But yeah, that was very crazy nonetheless.
Quite literally, the main reason Combo Gaming is winning a lot of these Rise picks right now is just because of sheer perseverance, because we've seen the perfect ratios being literally just about less than 40 perfects apart, and that's quite literally what's only separating these two, except from perhaps some patterns in the map being a little more discomforting. I mean, Lion is definitely one of those maps that really starts to tax in your consistency the more you go into it, especially for 3 minutes long, and that's exactly what Nemesis was struggling with, and also Combo Gaming for that matter as well, as Nemesis will be waltzing right into the hybrid category with none other than CYC. Probably the most sensible decision, especially for a change of pace in the match.
Yeah, so I'm assuming that Nemesis is going to be, holding out that LM3 for later on. But CYC, used for the 2026 7-key original, used in semifinals. I actually played it myself. It's a pretty good song. I really like it.
Yeah, I remember when I first sort of saw the showcase for that, I was genuinely surprised they even got Art Forest of all people to make an original, because this is literally a name I haven't heard of in years. So the fact that they brought someone like that on to make an original for the World Cup is honestly quite sick to see. And what else is also quite sick to see is that both players are off to a really good start. It's just that Nemesis also does have the better accuracy overall, because Combo Gaming doesn't seem to be as inherently confident when it comes to the way there's a lot of these staggered releases, and getting a great right there, that's only going to punctuate the scoreline for Nemesis as well.
Yeah, it seems that, the LNs and Nemesis is really doing them a big favor. We do see that, we're getting closer to a quarter into this map, and Nemesis is going to be holding nearly a 2,000 score lead just from these, jumps with, the occasional LNs.
Yep. I mean, there pretty much is no other way to address it. Pretty much both players are playing really well out the park, but Nemesis is going to miss that ball. Not going to be able to hit the hook from there. Is going to be winning off by sheer combo, at least trying to stay true to their name right now. 1700 combo, and at least still accentuating it, as now the accuracies are right in the middle. It's just now that miss from Nemesis is going to put a pretty big detriment to the scoreline they once had.
Oh yeah, that miss definitely hurt Nemesis. We do see that, the lead immediately bled into, Combo's gaming side. Now, but Nemesis is still actually going to be holding the ever so slightly accuracy advantage. Not that it really matters for now, since, Combo Gaming is going to be holding that FC, giving them the score advantage.
Absolutely, and still a lot of downtime that this map has to offer. It's just the fact that even in this downtime alone, there's still a lot of Ellen patterns that can pretty much trip you over in even the worst possible places. It's still a lot of potential for Combo Gaming to eventually choke on some of these as well, because I believe I saw a great lead out from Combo Gaming just there, which dropped the scoreline under 3,000 for just a little bit, but Nemesis seems to have reciprocated that as well, neutralizing the score once again, at least bringing it 3,500 score for Combo Gaming at the moment in terms of advantage. If Combo Gaming manages to win off this, then that's going to be the first breakpoint of this, and that's going to be something they really need, and at this point, Nemesis is only going to add to the bucket list that Combo Gaming really had on their list with this alone.
Oh yeah, that second miss was just I can't tell if I should be like I don't know, just seeing that score lead just immediately just shift closer into Combo Gaming. I'm trying to understand this from Nemesis point of view, and it just I wouldn't be able to live with that. But either way, now Combo Gaming is going to actually win a pick from Nemesis, and we do see the first breakpoint 3-2 in Combo Gaming's favor.
The score was just ever so slightly nudging towards Nemesis' side before that final miss came down at the worst possible moment for Nemesis, because now this is a breakpoint they have to win back, as it's going to be Combo Gaming in the driver's seat. Now that they've won the point, there's adrenaline to ride off of. Where did they go? They're probably going to go for Rice 2. Yeah, I literally just saw that. Okay. Sure, buddy.
Yeah. So Rice 2 is going to be our jump stream pick. Entangled Knight.
Indeed, 3 minutes of what everyone and their moms has probably grown so used to. DJ Sharpnel jump stream. I mean,
oh yeah, it's like
I mean, literally everyone's like played it before. I mean, hey guys in the chat, have you ever heard of this mapper called Icy World? If anything?
Oh, I've heard of him somewhere at least before.
You probably would have heard him from Night Bunny 7 or something, because he's like uploaded his entire discography like before he did somehow, but but this time, no, it's not them mapping it. It's literally Bronyo Zaychek. This is a custom that was made for this map alone. 225 BPM jump stream for 3 minutes. And I would pretty much suspect this one to have a fair amount of patterns that can be a little more on the discomforting side, and to at least try and challenge some of the players that go into it more. And especially to kind of act as if it is the gate that pretty much prevents a lot of players from just simply autopiloting this one.
Yeah, so getting into this intro, we do see that Nemesis is actually going to be holding a very strong ratio so far. Combo Gaming definitely not bad, but it is going to be some par compared to Nemesis at the time being. But it isn't, too safe to say for sure, as, we still have, about 3 minutes of this map.
Absolutely, and especially with these more instrumental sections here, you practically have a lot of parents that kind of switch between these transitional burst streams that can really trip up a lot of players. I've seen Combo Gaming drop even the smallest 300s on those alone, and also a lot of kind of intrusive direction when it comes to the trills alone, which does add to the flair that people gotta really look out for in this map alone. There's still a lot. Single stream section, at least some air to breathe now, finally, after all you've witnessed so far. An advantage for Nemesis. Safety cushion, but not really so much, because it's literally just coming down to both players having the FCs, and it's just a matter of even the most minuscule accuracy difference.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And we do see that there's about a 0.1 accuracy difference between both players, and that 0.1 accuracy difference being shown by that that 1300 score gap. However, it is constantly fluctuating, but Nemesis is at least able to consistently keep it above 1000. Now, it is not the safest cushion to work with, but it is definitely something at the time being.
I just saw a great come out from Nemesis. I mean, I think especially with how some of these parents do kind of induce a bit of a more awkward approach to jump stream parenting, that's pretty much the main challenge that comes with a pick like this alone, which definitely would help for combo gaming if they were to think a little more outside the box when it comes to at least trying to go for some of these more raw skill oriented maps, because especially in the early game, most people would expect this type of stuff to be, well, the easiest thing in existence, but okay.
And we do see that combo gaming is actually going to drop that combo, unfortunately. And Nemesis still holding. Oh, never mind.
Oh, you're actually
just
kidding me.
dropped the full combo. So, but however, Nemesis is still going to hold that accuracy advantage. And, you know, compared to that 99.7 and 90.77, it is actually a pretty big gap in score. And, you know, as to, you know, the map is actually going to be, you know, calming down from all that jump streams, just now being the occasional jumps and singles. It is, it seems that Nemesis is going to take this one and take back that breakpoint that Combo Gaming had earlier.
Yeah, just this final section, final 100,000 points to accumulate for both sides. It's really just down to this final section. If Nemesis misses once more, this could be it. Okay, please do not do that. Please do not listen to what I was saying. Thank you.
So yes,
thank you. Oh my god.
Nemesis is actually going to take back that breakpoint, tying it up once again, 3-3.
Exactly.
Oh my god.
Needed.
Okay, so now it's going to be, I think it's going to be back to, you know, winning in their comfort picks. And if it continues to go that way, you know, by, you know, I think we're likely to see a tiebreaker here.
I mean, it is down to the final picks from both players now, so Nemesis is gonna have to pick real carefully. I think this is probably the best time they can just bust out either LNX or LN3 overall. They just need to throw off combo gaming based on what we've all been seeing so far. But then again, it really just comes down to confidence when it comes to something that can be fairly technical. Why did it go with Rice? Why?
Okay, I am.
Sure.
That is a very, very interesting pick because LN3 is on the table. However, Nemesis does go for Rise 3, which is, correct me if I'm wrong, the Korjak pick. And
yes.
That is, oh my, I am very confused with that pick because unless they are very confident in the Korjak department, which, you know, isn't too unusual in 4-key, but LN3 was right on the table, so I'm just very confused with this pick.
I mean, maybe Nemesis was kind of following the mentality of never letting your opponent know your next move, in which I suppose based off how Rise 2 went, it does make a little bit of sense. Like, I can definitely see a tinge of clarity within this pick, but it's still quite unexpected to me. Like, it's quite the curveball from what I would have expected from, you know, a standard LN3 pick where, you know, it's literally polyrhythmic LN. That's literally, like, I don't know, a recipe for disaster for combo gaming if you were to bring them on it, maybe, unless somehow a situation adjacent to Seirin happened. Seisin, but it's like, I don't know. I mean, this is OD9, so it's gonna be
I don't know, because, like, yeah, because once, you know, this map is over, you know, Combo Gaming will have a Rise 5 to work with, but that would be the only Rise pick left on the, you know, on the table. But
yeah,
I don't know. I think it could pay off. It is very risky to say the least, though.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, especially when you go into the late stages of a match, it pretty much becomes an absolute necessity to start taking the necessary risks if you want to be able to win a match like this. And so far, it seems like things are quite literally in the middle. No one is really bleeding any mistakes so far. It's only a difference of 0.02% in accuracy, but it's the most negligible difference that we can even see with a lot of these triple jacks. Everyone's just hitting these patterns no matter what. Fairly simple parenting from the likes of my Angel Chan. I mean, this is pretty much bare bones core jack, as we all know, at 136.
Yeah, I mean, you know, actually, I don't think this is actually a bad pick after all. I mean, we have seen that Nemesis generally does have, you know, the better ratio. And, you know, knowing Korjak, where it's all about ratio, this could actually work out in Nemesis' favor. But, you know, as we've also seen from Nemesis, is that, you know, they have dropped, their full combos, during in the middle of the map. And as long as Nemesis can just hold that full combo, they could win just from ratio.
Yeah, this is really one of those maps that really tests you on how much of a metronome you can be when it comes to these picks, but especially when it comes to core jack maps, there is some occasions where it can very easily trip up a lot of players, and I would expect it from this section where it has a solo in it. Oh, it doesn't have 1-6? What the heck? I thought it did.
Huh. But yeah, we do see that there is going to be a 0.05 accuracy difference, which is the largest we've seen so far throughout this map. And, as we're nearing to the end of this, it seems that both players are going to be holding the V1SS. However, that ratio difference alone is actually going to give Nemesis nearly a 1,700 score lead.
Yeah, especially going into late stages of this map alone, Nemesis pretty much has shown that it pretty much would be very uncharacteristic if they were to drop right now, just solely because of the fact that this is pretty much the most consistent I've seen them be on. A 998k to close out this pick, and it was fairly close as well. The difference of literally only, 142 take away 73. Let's open the calculator.
That's like nearly half the perfect count. So you know what? I actually understand Nemesis's situation here. And we do see that Combo Gaming is actually going to go for the mixed rice pick, Rice 5.
Yeah. Pretty much, that pick was down to the ratio alone. It is arguably the easiest rice map out of everything else, and that's basically the issue that I have with this is kind of like the boat that I have to pick with Rice Free in particular, because, I mean, it is pretty much the fan favorite of many map pools overall, because everyone expects that to be, the closest thing ever. Everyone can play Core Jack these days, but when it's like that light at only 136 BPM, basically comfort range, that's literally like warm-up range, if anything, for, these kinds of maps in a map pool like this. And going right into Rice 5, Combo Gaming has just one shot left to be able to prevent the upset, because all they have now is to go into a tiebreaker and just forcing it overall, in which it's really going to have to come down to this map alone. That's basically going to be the worst thing possible, because this is also way short. This is on the shorter end of the map pool, 1 minute and 54 seconds. It's abrasive tech patterns.
Having a pick, that is sub 2 minutes is very scary, because there is hardly any time to recover if you do make a mistake. And knowing that, actually, Nemesis, never mind. Both players are going to have a rougher start. Holding onto the mid 99, as we are already a third into the way in this map, almost one half by now.
I mean, this pick is fairly speedy when it comes to how it addresses a lot of these parents, so it only makes more sense that both players would be very equalized on this and also find chokes on it, because this pick can be quite discomforting despite what the star range says, which is really on the lower side, if anything. Nemesis, with the smallest biases, 500 points in their name, it's really close to meaning nothing as we go into the next section. Just about, there's only really one final quarter to dictate things, and this is exactly what Combo Gaming is going to have to capitalize off of, because this is where you get some more of these dense patterns, some more perfects being bled out. It's just down to the final 1,000 points that Nemesis has. They need to hang on.
Yeah, it seems like that Combo Gaming is actually going to have, it's going to be consistent in their accuracy. However, Nemesis is actually going to capitalize off of this, just gaining accuracy. And
are you serious?
They dropped the combo. Combo Gaming just has to hold out for like the last 10 seconons. And if they do, they can. No way. Tiebreaker hype.
It's tiebreaker. Tiebreaker. What do you call it? A tiebreaker.
Okay. Oh my god, this is the second tiebreaker in this tournament, and the first one I commentated in. What is happening? This is my second tiebreaker already. It's like, okay, I think half of all of the matches I've commentated are just tiebreakers. I don't know what's happening. But, okay, Combo Gaming, Nemesis, 4-4 right now. The tiebreaker is going to be the one that, decides it all. Hello, at everyone, tiebreaker hype.
I mean, I don't know about you, Nameless, but it seems like you got a bit of a Midas touch there with how you just somehow commentate a match, and the instant you touch it, it just goes tiebreaker.
I don't know.
Nah,
God.
it's good. It's good, Bo. Like, gives extra entertainment. I live for that stuff. You know, man.
Yeah.
Like, it's literally what we need here in this tournament, especially this early on. We have the eyes of multiple people across various regions. We are literally 20 viewers or something. We may as well bring it higher with this tiebreaker.
Yeah, oh my god. Okay, so honestly, this could very much go either ways for both players because we've seen combo gaming, do some combo gaming. However, Nemesis does have the ratio upper hand in Rice and especially in LNs. So it could but when on a tiebreaker like this, I feel like combo really is something that should be prioritized. However, if both players do hold that FC, then it is definitely the accuracy that should be prioritized. But it could ultimately go both ways, so I guess we'll just have to find out.
Indeed. I think when it comes to early game tiebreakers like this, for example, there's just a lot that you really need to try and factor into just one condensed matchup alone, where you're not only considering the amount of options you have, the sections of which map you have to capitalize off of that your opponent can potentially choke on, but also just the fact that it literally induces more accuracy when it comes to these patterns alone. Combo gaming led too great so far. That's gonna at least bring an advantage over to Nemesis for the time being, going into this first drop where you just have some of these Allen density patterns just pseudo inverses, but the first miss comes out right there.
Yeah, so combo gaming is going to hold that combo, whereas Nemesis has to first drop. But despite the fact of getting a miss, the score lead is actually still in the 3 digits in combo gaming's favor. We do see that Nemesis is actually going to be holding a significant accuracy advantage, and that is going to do Nemesis some favors, at least minimizing that cushion that combo gaming has. And as we're getting into this core jack section, we do see that the lead is actually going to shrink as Nemesis holds that better ratio into this core jack section.
It's pretty much dependent on how these sections are dedicated into different categories or different skill sets that one player may be a little more comfortable with. And Nemesis somehow, contrary to that one Rise-free performance of only 76 perfects, is going to choke once again. Combo Gaming literally trying to prove their best, that they are literally what their name at least entertains, the sole idea of just being able to combo so well. And we're literally over 2,000 notes into this map alone. Still, just going into the back half, you still have a lot of parents to deal with, and especially with a lot of these hybrid-oriented parents, it's still fairly chill. Some of these mini jacks thrown in, but literally nothing is enough to even scrape that of Combo Gaming's score right now.
Absolutely, and we do see that these players are going to have a little bit of a breather here just from these occasional LNs, but now as things slowly start to pick up, we do see that Combo Gaming is truly living up to their name, still holding that full combo halfway into this map. However, Nemesis is still going to have a pretty good accuracy advantage despite having 2 misses so far. Now, the score lead is at 2.8k. That is still not that much to work with considering how much of the map there is left. And as things are picking up the pace, we do say that Combo Gaming is actually going to drop a decent amount of accuracy, and Nemesis is actually going to shrink that lead. And as we're getting into this LN density section, it's doing Nemesis some favors. However, Combo Gaming is actually holding out so far.
Yeah, slide drops from both players as it stands. That's only going to equalize things a little more. It's still a cushion for Combo Gaming for the time being, but some of these patterns were a lot more abrasive than some of the LNs we had way earlier in this map alone. Still, a lot of false LN density bursts that we have here and there. Some grace being bled out from Combo Gaming, but Nemesis's chokes have literally been bleeding into some of these patterns, not being able to fare as well in terms of accuracy, but it's just really coming down to even the slimmest of differences. I see grace still coming out from either side. It's still so small, especially for a tiebreaker like this, which is probably the worst part. So these fast
okay, now the lead has shrunk to 3 digit. It is around the 500 mark, and now we are getting into this techie section with the LNs, and Combo Gaming still holding that.
Oh my
Combo
God.
Gaming drops the full combo, and we see Nemesis the lead just going straight to Nemesis, holding a 2,600 scored lead. It just immediately bled into Nemesis' side, and just now we're seeing that, that accuracy advantage really shining in as it's doing wonders for Nemesis. However, there is still a little portion of the map left, so it's not entirely over. As Nemesis,
there's still time. You're kidding me? No. Final miss.
Delete. No way. No.
Are we seriously going?
Oh my god.
It's right in the middle. No.
Oh
Final few notes. Come on. This is so close. Okay. Come on. Combo Gaming. 300 points.
Combo Gaming.
City Jack. Oh my
Nemesis.
God. Oh my
it's
god.
coming down to the last moment.
It's coming down.
It's going to be.
Final stream.
The win is going to take Nemesis. Nemesis takes the win by 177 points on the tiebreaker. 4 misses versus 2 slider breaks. And that's all it took to bring this match this close. Oh my god. That is by far the closest match I've ever seen. It honestly could have very well went to both sides. But just seeing how this... Oh my god. That is insane. Within
Nemesis.
200 points. I would be absolutely devastated if I were Combo Gaming, but ultimately, as we've seen from this matchup, accuracy does prevail in this case. And we have LS Nemesis Seed 40 as the winner. Now, LS Nemesis is going to be proceeding into the round of 32 winners bracket. Now, fortunately for Combo Gaming, it isn't going to be over, but, they will be knocked down to losers bracket. And, if Combo Gaming loses once again, they will be eliminated from the tournament. That was an insane match.
It really went down to the wire at the end, and Nemesis successfully pulling off quite the upset there in the early game. They will be advancing down over to the round of 32 bracket where, the fight's not over for them just yet. They still have a lot of matches to take care of, and especially as we have here, if I am to try and find where they are on the challenge real quick. Okay. They're facing yellow next week. Okay. Oh my god.
Yeah, that's my prayers goes out to you.
My condolences, man. And then I'm assuming Combo Gamer is also facing Exemplar, so
yeah,
it's
trust
kind
me,
of like nearly the same thing, pretty much in terms of.
I've had my fair share of going up against yellow, so yeah, just good luck. That's all I gotta say.
Absolutely. There's not really much you can do from a spectator angle, but aside from just wishing the best of luck to both these players, because goddamn, that was quite a close match, especially on the tiebreaker, which is like, that's definitely so close.
Yeah.
I mean, we literally had like a map we had a match where Riceberry was only won by 2 points, but this is just as insane. It's the literal tiebreaker. You don't win that close on it. You're not meant to be equalized on that, right? I mean...
Oh... Like, that has to be the closest match I've ever seen. It was close throughout the entire matchup. Just, seeing score leads so, marginal, and just even that was being represented in the tiebreaker of all things. And I don't think we will see a match like that. I'd say even for the rest of the tournament.
Nah, there's a lot of time. I mean, and for the rest of the tournament, however, we still have a lot more matches that will be running in about 10 minutes from now. Going to be having none other than, all right, let's see. Main sheet, please save me. Okay, no, ref sheet. All right, yeah, okay, so next matches we have, oh wait, we only have like one match. It's going to be Senkyu versus Zerk XU. Almost the same name, just a few characters different. In the next 10 minutes, so that's going to be yet another match waiting over in the winner's bracket. I am particularly interested to see how this was going to go. We've been having a lot of pretty good matches here and there. And it's only going to continue from here for our final few matches that we have for this very weekend alone. So stay tuned for that in about 10 minutes. I've been Epic Man 2, joined by Nameless Fanatic. We hope you enjoyed this match as much as we do. We'll catch you in just a little bit. Be there, be square, and thank you so much for watching.
Thank you so much. I'll see you next time.